Have you ever noticed that weight in the air when a conversation falls silent? That almost unbearable pause where your instinct screams to fill the void, to laugh, to blurt something out, to shift nervously? But what if I told you that moment of silence, the one you've been taught to fear, is where true power begins? In the rush to speak, to react, to prove ourselves, we've forgotten something ancient and profound. Stillness commands more authority than any frantic action ever could. We live in a world where urgency is mistaken for importance. You've been conditioned to believe that the quicker you respond, the more valuable you are. At work, in conversations, in conflict, you jump in, racing to offer words, explanations, and reassurances. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Real respect, real influence, doesn't belong to those who scramble for attention. It belongs to those who can sit with the silence, unbothered and composed, and make others lean in, waiting for what they'll say, if they choose to say anything at all. Look closely at those who truly dominate a room. They aren't the loudest or the fastest. They aren't desperately filling gaps with chatter or nervously explaining themselves. They are the ones who measure their presence and their words, using pauses like tools to draw others toward them. Their restraint speaks volumes. The less they rush, the more gravity they carry. They don't chase attention. Attention naturally orbits them. But here's the problem. Most of us do the opposite. When someone asks a question, we scramble to respond. When silence lingers, we rush to fill it. And every time we do, we reinforce an image of insecurity. Whether we realize it or not, our constant need to react immediately signals to others that we are not in control. And control over yourself, over the moment, is what others instinctively respect. The pause is not just about silence, it's about mastery over time and perception. The person who waits before responding shows confidence. They're not reacting, they're choosing. And that choice makes others sit up and take notice. The less predictable you are, the more intriguing you become. Predictability is comforting, but it never commands respect. Mystery, scarcity, restraint. These are the ingredients that make people value your words and your presence. Think of the people who seem to have an undeniable presence. They're not everywhere all the time. They don't respond to every message in seconds. They don't explain themselves endlessly. Instead, they control their availability and their energy, appearing when it matters most, and disappearing when it serves them. Their absence creates anticipation. Their presence feels like a rare event, something to be noticed and appreciated. Now consider your own behavior. How often do you make yourself too available? How often do you answer instantly, speak unnecessarily, or attend every event simply out of fear of missing out or appearing rude? And what has that earned you? Likely, less respect and less attention, not more. The truth is simple. What is easily accessible is easily ignored. What is scarce is treasured. Controlling your presence and your responses isn't manipulation, it's self-respect. When you pause before reacting, when you choose to be selective with your words and your availability, you teach others to value your time and attention. You stop being background noise and become someone whose presence carries weight. It's not just about silence, it's about uncertainty. The more predictable your behavior, the less others think about you when you're not there. If they know exactly how you'll react, you become routine, unremarkable. But if you leave them wondering, if you don't respond right away, if you choose your words with care, if you maintain an element of mystery, they'll think about you long after the interaction has ended. That curiosity is power. But none of this works if your body language betrays you. You can't control perception with words alone. People notice everything. The nervous tapping of your foot, the restless movement of your hands, the constant shifting in your seat. These micro signals scream insecurity. They reveal that you are not in command of yourself. And if you cannot control your own body, how can you expect to control how others see you? Look at those who exude confidence. They move slowly, deliberately. Their posture is firm, their gestures measured. They don't flinch or fidget. Even before they speak, they've already communicated dominance through stillness. Like a predator that doesn't need to roar to assert its strength, their mere presence is enough to shift the energy in a room. Look at those who exude confidence. They move slowly, deliberately. Their posture is firm, their gestures measured. They don't flinch or fidget. Even before they speak, they've already communicated dominance through stillness. Like a predator that doesn't need to roar to assert its strength, their mere presence is enough to shift the energy in a room. When you master stillness, others will begin to fill the silence for you. They'll talk more, scramble to close gaps you leave open, and in doing so, they reveal their own insecurities. Suddenly, The dynamic flips. You're not chasing approval. Others are seeking yours. They're working to impress you, to gain your attention, to earn your response. But there's another layer: unpredictability. Right now, people know exactly how you'll respond in most situations. They've read you. If they insult you, they expect defensiveness. If they ignore you, they expect you to try harder for attention. If they challenge you, they expect immediate pushback. What happens if you break the pattern? If, instead of reacting, you pause calmly, confidently, and choose silence or an unexpected response? You become unpredictable. And unpredictable people are both respected and feared because they cannot be controlled. But there's more to this than just silence and unpredictability. There's the art of deliberate presence. Consider the most captivating people you've ever encountered. They're not always the loudest or the most visible. In fact, they often show up less than others. But when they do, they leave an impact that lingers. Their presence feels deliberate, purposeful, even rare. They never overstay, never overshare. Instead, they make you crave more. And that scarcity is precisely what makes them valuable. You've been taught to believe that constant availability is a virtue. That if you're always there for others, always present, always responding immediately, you'll earn trust and respect. But the reality is harsher. Availability breeds familiarity, and familiarity often breeds contempt. When people can predict your every move, when they know they can access you at any time, you lose your edge. Your presence becomes common. Your words lose weight. Imagine if every conversation, every reaction, every appearance was a strategic move instead of a reflex. What if you stopped talking just to fill air and started speaking only when you truly had something to say? What if you stopped showing up just because you were invited and started making appearances that felt significant, that made people stop and take notice? You'd become the person everyone watches, listens to, and thinks about long after you've left. Controlling your presence also means controlling your energy. You may think responding to every text, attending every event, and jumping into every discussion shows enthusiasm or dedication. But all it really shows is a lack of self-control, a need for validation, a fear of missing out. Real power comes from restraint, from knowing that not every battle is worth fighting, not every comment needs a reply, and not every silence must be broken. Consider this: the leaders who truly command respect are not frantic. They are not rushing to respond or fill gaps. They know that urgency is often a sign of weakness, not strength. They move when they are ready, and because of that, others wait for them. They control the tempo of conversations, meetings, and even entire rooms. People adjust to them, not the other way around. There's also the power of controlled absence. This might be the most difficult principle to embrace, especially if you've spent your life trying to prove yourself. But stepping back, intentionally creating space where people wonder about you, magnifies your presence when you return. It creates intrigue and raises your value in the eyes of others. The less predictable you are, the more people think about you. Absence makes people appreciate presence. The scarcity of your time, your attention, your words, all of this raises their perceived value. Think of luxury brands. They don't flood the market. They are scarce, exclusive, and as a result, highly desired. The same applies to your social presence. Be selective, be intentional. Don't allow yourself to become ordinary by being too present. Of course, unpredictability isn't about being random or erratic. It's about being strategic. It's about breaking patterns others have come to expect from you. If you always respond immediately, pause. If you usually explain yourself, let the silence speak for you. If you're known for being easy to read, start holding back. When people can't predict you, they can't control you. Silence and presence aren't just passive states. They're active strategies. They are tools for commanding attention, for influencing perception, and for controlling social dynamics. When used correctly, they can transform you from someone who blends into the background into someone who commands the room. But the real challenge isn't external, it's internal. It's fighting the urge to fill silence with words, to react immediately, to prove yourself. It's learning to be comfortable with discomfort, to embrace the tension that silence creates. That tension is where power lives. To master this, start with small changes. The next time you're asked a question, pause, breathe, let the silence settle before you speak. The next time you feel the urge to respond to a text, immediately wait. The next time you're in a conversation and there's a lull, don't rush to fill it. Watch how others react. Observe their discomfort and recognize that you are in control. With practice, these small shifts accumulate into profound changes. You'll find that people begin to listen more closely when you speak. that your words carry more weight, that your absence is noticed and your presence is valued. Why? And now we arrive at the moment where everything comes together. The silence, the stillness, the calculated absence, the deliberate unpredictability. You've been given the keys. Holding them means nothing if you don't dare to use them. The truth is simple yet frightening. Power belongs to those who can resist their impulses. It belongs to those who can sit with tension, who do not fear the void but embrace it, knowing that within that void others squirm, doubt and lose their footing. Look around you. The world is loud, frantic, overflowing with noise. People fill every second with words, notifications, distractions, meaningless gestures, desperate to avoid the discomfort of stillness. But what does that noise produce? Chaos, confusion, weakness. The ones who truly rise, the ones whose names echo long after they've left the room, are those who understand that power is not taken by force, it is earned by restraint. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you allowed silence to be your ally instead of your enemy? When was the last time you paused, not out of hesitation, but out of confidence? That moment when everyone waits, breathes in, and leans forward, wondering what you will say next. That is power. Not the frantic rush to be heard, but the mastery of silence so complete that your absence commands as much attention as your presence. You see, we've all been taught to show up constantly, to over-explain, to be on all the time. We think presence means quantity, more appearances, more words, more explanations. But real presence is about quality, precision, and scarcity. Diamonds are precious because they are rare. Your presence should be no different. But scarcity is not enough on its own. It must be paired with unpredictability. People should never be able to read you like an open book. Predictability is comfort, and comfort breeds dismissal. The predictable person is taken for granted. The unpredictable one, they command attention even in silence. They live in people's minds, rent-free, because they cannot be easily defined or anticipated. And nothing is more magnetic than a mystery. Picture this. Two people in a conversation. One reacts instantly to every comment, filling every pause, nervously explaining themselves, chasing approval. The other listens quietly, holds eye contact without rushing, chooses their words with care, and allows silence to linger. Which one holds the power? Which one leaves the room with everyone thinking about them hours later? You already know the answer, but here's the secret most never learn. This level of control is not about arrogance. It's not about showing superiority or belittling others. It's about self-mastery. It's about knowing your own value so well that you don't feel compelled to constantly prove it. You project confidence by refusing to rush. You project strength by holding space. You project authority by leaving things unsaid, allowing others to fill in the blanks with their imagination, which will always be more compelling than anything you could say. When you master this, people start treating you differently. They speak more carefully around you. They measure their words because they sense that you're not easily impressed or rattled. They chase your attention because you don't give it away lightly. They respect you, not because you demanded it, but because you quietly showed them they must. But there's something even deeper. When you stop reacting, when you stop trying to control how others see you through constant explanation and overexposure, you gain something priceless: freedom. You are no longer enslaved by the need to be understood in every moment. You stop scrambling to be seen, to be validated. Instead, you become still, centered, untouchable. And in that stillness, you'll discover the final piece of the puzzle. Control over perception is not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. You cannot dictate how others think or feel. But by mastering your presence, your silence, your unpredictability, you influence their perception in ways they can't even explain. They feel your presence. They think about you when you're gone. They wonder what you're thinking, why you didn't react, what you're planning. That curiosity is your power. So now the choice stands before you. You can continue as you always have, rushing, reacting, filling space with nervous energy, trying to be everywhere for everyone. Or you can choose the path of restraint. You can choose to pause, to speak less, to let others fill the void while you control the pace, the rhythm, and the mood. Start by becoming comfortable with discomfort. The next time silence falls in a conversation, don't break it. Let it sit. Watch what happens. The next time someone challenges you, don't defend yourself immediately. Hold the silence. Smile if you must. Let them wonder. The next time you feel the need to justify your decisions, resist. Allow your actions to speak for you. Slowly, you will begin to see the shift. People will start leaning into your presence, treating your words like rare treasures. You will no longer chase attention. It will come to you. You will stop proving yourself. Others will begin trying to prove themselves to you. And when that happens, you will understand the essence of real power. Not dominance, not noise, not force, but quiet, deliberate control. And here's the most breathtaking part. Once you master this, you become immune to chaos. While others scramble for validation, you stand still. While others drown in noise, you remain silent. While others reveal too much, you stay mysterious. In that stillness, you become unshakable. And nothing is more powerful than a person who cannot be rattled, who cannot be predicted, who cannot be controlled. So, I leave you with this. Will you continue to be noise, or will you become the silence that commands the room? Will you keep reacting, or will you learn to respond with intention? Will you stay predictable and forgettable, or will you become the enigma others can't stop thinking about? You know the answer. Now, step into the pause, let the silence do the work, and watch as the world bends to the rhythm you set.